Hello and welcome back to this channel. So glad you could join me on today. We're going to jump right on in the Tucker Carlson interview. How Tucker Carlson is starting to question things, question history, question U.S. history. And these were things that were not taught in institutions that he attended. These were things that he had to actually see with his own eyes, and experience has brought him to this point of where he is questioning, and he is now researching some of the things that he thought he knew, or issues that he had never questioned before. So it's always good as a person, regardless to what you are doing, that you are evolving, that you are always looking at the wider spectrum and also looking at the most narrow spectrum, taking an idea and as broad as it may be and dissecting it and getting down to what I like to call the nucleus of your thought process to find the facts out for yourself. I believe that you have to study to show yourself approved. That's scripture based off of the King James Version Bible. So it's important that you study and research and find the truth behind anything that you are pursuing. So based off of that interview that Carlson Tucker did, a lot of people were offended by it. I don't know the details of it because I have not watched the interview. I just watched the parts of the interview that was presented by the channel on YouTube, The Black Conservative Perspective. So as a result of this interview, Vivek or whatever his name is, he decided to interject his opinion. He's open to his opinion. He is, if you didn't know who I am speaking of, he was a candidate for the GOP or the political or Republican Party. Thankfully, now that I know a little bit more about him, I thank God that he did not get a chance to run. I will never vote for him. I don't care if he makes the nominee in the future unless he really changes his thought process and his ways. But I have been able to follow him, especially when he was running in his campaign. I was able to listen to his message and what he thought of America. And with that being said, I do agree with some of the things that he brings forth and brings to the table, but I had to really dissect his character. And what I have found out is that he is secretly low-key racist. And I know that that word is used a lot nowadays, racist. But I'm talking about ingrained racism that he hides on the outside, but on the inside of him, he is totally racist. I remember watching a segment a few years ago. I couldn't find it on here now, but it was talking about the colorism complex in India and how the darker skin in East India, how they are treated, how they have to take certain jobs that the more lighter skin Indians don't have to take. So I want to just dive right into what Vivek had to say. And I may stop it along the way, or I might just let it play. But I have a few clips that I want to just discuss. And I hope that this video doesn't take long. But I do want to get this point across. That Vivek is a racist. A secret racist. And it was in his culture. He can't help it. It's just something that he was brought into. So let's take a look.
For asking certain hard questions about narratives we've been fed by the government. Do I agree with Tucker on all of his views? Of course not. I don't agree with anybody on 100% of their views. That would be a weird thing to do. But I also think it's a weird thing to do to lambast somebody for questioning certain narratives when in fact that's what it means to be a skeptical citizen of a truly democratic nation. I'll tell you where it comes from though. I'm not just going to tar somebody on their side. Let's get to the heart of what's going on there. I think we as conservatives have appropriately been fed up by the self-loathing left that has repeatedly for 160 years, and for the last 6 years incessantly, questioned the founding of our country, obsessing over systemic racism and white rage and the original sin of slavery at our founding. And at a certain point, all of us, most conservatives I know, myself included, Tucker included, others, are saying enough with it already. Let's move forward as one country, because we've beaten a dead horse.
Now, I just would like to say that's my point. He is fed up pretty much with us talking about slavery, us talking about systemic racism. And I can honestly say that for the most part, in general, it's not to the point where it was when my grandparents were living. It's not to the point where it was right after slavery. It's not like that. I can honestly say that. But it's not like it has been totally annihilated. It still exists. And for you to discredit that or discount that, it is totally disrespectful. Another thing I would like to add on top of that is, when you're saying you're fed up of hearing that, every other nation, every other people who have been and whose life has been destroyed as a part of colonialism, those particular groups, from the American Indians, they have their own reservations, they have their own way of life. You have the Japanese, you have those who are in Israel. United States still sends, even before this war that we're currently in, billions of dollars a year to help the Jewish communities. Black Americans, descendants of slaves, have never been officially apologized to. We have not had any type of crime bill for us as other groups have. We have not had our justice, our day in court. The promise that was made to our ancestors, we are still fighting to this day, some of us, for reparations. So for you to say that, oh, slavery happened, I don't want to hear about systemic racism, I don't want to hear about this, that, and the other, that is totally insensitive.
To death, there's nothing more to say. Now, back in 1960, when you didn't have necessarily equal rights enjoyed across this country, that was still a relevant conversation to have, to say, well, slavery existed all the way through the Civil War. The Reconstruction era didn't quite put an end to those inequities. How are we going to deal with it in the Civil Rights Revolution? That was a reasonable discussion to have. But now we're 60 plus years after that, and at a certain point, it's time to move on. And if you're consistently still obsessing over narratives dating back over 250 years, then yes, that means you probably do in some measure hate this country.
And I disagree, because I love America. This is where I was born. This is where my grandparents were born. My great-grandparents, we helped to build the country. My grandmother, or my great-grandmother, excuse me, died in 1994. She was 102 years old. So imagine, and I was able to meet her. So imagine what her parents were. We had land to this day that was stolen from us. We were able to hold on to a piece of it, but for the majority of it, it was stolen from us. Even before the Civil Rights Movement, we were able to build. We were in our own segregated communities where we had our own grocery stores and barbershops and things of that nature. We had all of that. That wasn't a problem. But it got burnt down. And then shortly after that, that's when the Civil Rights Movement came into play, and these laws for civil rights got passed. But shortly after the Civil Rights Act got passed, Martin Luther King, one of his last speeches was, "I fear I have led my people into a burning house." And that's a topic that I want to get into on another day, but let's finish listening to him.
Fine. But that's different from saying that there are certain areas where we deserve to question our own history that haven't been questioned. And I think that that's the difference we need to draw. The distinction we need to draw is one thing to beat a dead horse and hate ourselves for the sake of hating ourselves. That's what the modern left does. But that's not what Tucker's doing. To the contrary, he's turning over rocks that haven't really been turned over.
You heard what he had to say, and I totally disagree with it. So he really, if it was up to him and we were living in the society that was in the 1960s, We can tell what side he would wish to be on. And the sad thing about it is, and the irony of it all, is that if he and his family were here in the 1960s, before civil rights became about, they would have experienced the same racism as Black Americans. Why? Because they're people of color. They would have experienced the Jim Crow as well. I believe in loving everybody for who they are, no matter where they came from, no matter what they do. I believe in loving in and everybody. I believe in that. But we still must address the issues that's hurting so many people. I want to show you a little bit about Vivek. Now, this is his family, and if I'm not mistaken, he is the first generation to be born in the United States. At his website, and it goes on to talk about how he went to graduate in biology from Harvard, and he received his JD from Yale University while working at a hedge fund. Okay, he was able to start a biotech company, a company where he oversaw the development of 5 drugs that went on to become FDA approved. Now, if we look at him right here, this is his family. This is him when he graduated. So his parents migrated from India. When they got here, he talked about their humble beginnings, but what he failed to realize is that when he came here, they were able to come in to a well-established environment. They were able to come into the United States and have opportunities. They were able to come into the United States and live where they wanted to live because of what Black Americans, descendants of slaves, or what I will now call foundational Americans. They were able to come in and live comfortably. To do all of that based off of the backs of Blacks, descendants of slaves.
Secret of Hinduism that people try to hide. But according to Hindu scripture, God created different races, different castes from different parts of his body. The Brahmin, Kshatriyas with the shoulders, and the Vaishyas with the abdominals, and then the Sudras from the feet, and they're untouchables. And that's why the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and Sudras are all in different castes. Until today, that racism, that casteism exists in India. There is violence against lower caste people till today. This is a racist ideology. Don't try to deny it. It's in your scripture. In Islam, we believe all people are equal, except whoever's more pious is closer to God.
There's a lot of discrimination between these 4 categories and the Dalits. We clean the toilets, we keep the streets clean, and this system is sanctioned definitely by the Hindu religion. It still exists because it's become such a cultural practice today.
There's a dirty little secret of Hinduism.
So with that being said, I looked into a video prior to a few years ago, and it talked about the different colorisms that take place in Hinduism, how the lighter skinned East Indians got better opportunities, they got better jobs, and the darker skinned East Indians, how they are treated. You just saw it in the video here. So I want to go to quickly a family whose daughter is dating an East Indian. However, he is a darker tone. He is very well educated, and how the parents reacted to him. And this is very, very common. These are the people that are steadily coming to the United States. But let's just take a listen.
Hey, hello, hi. Closer, hi.
Kabir?
Yeah,
Hi, nice to meet you.
pleasure's all mine. Thank you. So nice to meet you, sir.
He's Kabir. ये तो दिल्ली वाला नहीं लगता है.
Yeah, people do get confused, sir. हाँ, वो सोचते हैं कि I'm from the south, but no, I'm from Delhi. Delhi से.
You're not so dark skinned.
You're so dark skinned.
It's
नहीं
But I'm not able to get what you're saying.
पहले बताना चाहिए था ना न तुमने उसकी फोटो दिखाई न कुछ दिखाया
ठीक है
सिर्फ ये बता दिया कि एमएनसी में काम करता है पैसे कमाता है
ये क्या बात है यार ऋषि हाँ
कम से कम रंग तो साफ होना चाहिए
हाँ
I can understand आप लोगों की feelings है but I've got a good job. I mean I'm well settled. I can take care of me and Arushi. I can assure you that. And maybe in a couple of years I might move to the US as well.
ये सब तो बात की बातें हैं
But she's happy with me and I'm happy with her.
No, it is not going to happen. Not in my family.
Baba, please. I'm sorry. This is not acceptable to us.
I just need to use the.
नहीं पापा क्या करेंगे पहले बताना चाहिए था मेरे को
आपने ये क्या सरप्राइज दिया है हमें
Don't try to emotionally blackmail us. बिल्कुल नहीं तुम संभालो इसको बहुत सर पे चढ़ा रखा है नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं होगा ये
अब बताओ मैं क्या करूँ You'll upset your father also. हाँ?
एक कलर ही तो प्रॉब्लम है मम्मा क्या प्रॉब्लम है कलर में यार
बहुत प्रॉब्लम है
इसे दिल्ली आए
नो नो ये दिल्ली आई तो
ऐसे नहीं होता है
ऐसे ही होता है मैं बिल्कुल नहीं
We cannot accept him.
मम्मा मेरे ये कोई
मैं जा रही
If you are black in terms of your heritage, or if you have darker skin, it is frowned upon in India. They discredit and discriminate against any type who is darker. Colorism is a big thing that I wish with everything that this was not a factor. I wish that we did not have to discuss racism in 2024. The ones that are coming over here from different countries, they are taking that same mentality and they're using it against us. Whereas U.S. track and field, Sha'Carri, the fastest woman in the world as of now, at the subtitle, it says American athlete. Whereas here in America, we always have to say, oh, she's a black American. But when I go to other countries, I'm just known as an American. I have one more clip. I want to say that we are not looking for any handout. We're looking for what's due to us. And I'm so glad that President Trump has kind of narrowed down his list and that Vivek is not on that list. I would never, unless he changed his ways totally, I would never vote for him because I know that within the culture from whence he came, it's written in their scriptures that it's based off of your skin color. It's written in their scriptures, within their religion, to dislike and to discredit and to mistreat people of darker skin. Now I want to finish out with this clip and then we will call it a day. I love President Trump because even Biden hadn't said, Biden lies. He's a straight up liar. And I've known this for quite some time. Now people are starting to open up their eyes to him, but I found out many years ago, the father of the 1994 crime bill. And he has made the millennial generation, which is the generation that I came from, of black Americans, he made it hard for us. As a child, I would go to weddings. I was in weddings. And as I would march down the aisle or as I would stand behind the bride, I was so happy because I saw two people who passionately loved each other and who were going to be joined together as one under God. And I would always sit there and say, this is going to be me one day. This is going to be me. I couldn't wait. Because I come from that lineage to where the family structure is very important. You have the husband, the man in the house. He's the high priest of the home. You have the woman in the house. She makes sure that the house is taken care of. She takes care of the education of the children. Biden robbed us of that. Not totally, But if it wasn't him, it was his friends or the people who he supports to this day that had a hand in the destruction of black people, the millennials.
They were doing it because it's election interference. And then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as...
And I'm just going to say that's not why black people liked him. We liked him before he even got into politics. He helped out Jackson with the Rainbow Coalition. He was there with Mike Tyson. He's been there with Oprah Winfrey, Rosa Parks. So many people had his back and admired him. Now he gets into the political arena and he wants to help. And you can't stand that.
I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing, but it possibly, I don't know, maybe there's something there. But I got also sued, and a lot of it comes right out, all of it comes out of the Justice Department, or it comes out of the Democrat Party. And it's a disgrace. This is like a third world country. But we're going to do something that's great for our country. We're going to make America great again for everybody, but we're going to make America great again also. And I'm not sure I can say necessarily again in this case, for African Americans. We're going to make America great for all of our country, but for African Americans. And maybe we have to leave the word again out. You understand what I mean? Because maybe there is no again. We're going to make it great for you and great for everybody. And that's important. Our country's gone through hell. And in many cases, our country is in hell right now. And we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast for everybody. And I think you're going to be very happy.
He said, we're going to make America great again for everybody. He said, but I don't think I can say again for black people. We're going to make America great. Now, out of the ashes, we have risen in so many aspects. Even while we were in the ashes, we were able to rise. To make it right for us, where we can have more opportunities to build. I appreciate that as a foundational black American. I appreciate that. But I will never vote for Vivek or Nikki Haley because they come from the seed of hatred. It's in their DNA. And I hope that if you agree with this, I hope that you like and share this with other people. He can never be president or vice president in his state of mind. I'm so glad President Trump does not have him on his short list of VP. I would be so heartbroken because God forbid anything happen to President Trump. I would hate for Vivek or Vivek or whatever his name is. I would hate for him to be the runner-up. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. May God bless.